When it comes to the JJ Reddick LeBron James podcast, at this point, you know what you're going to get. Two guys sitting down on the same page, trying to rewrite history and change the narrative. In their latest episode, they discussed the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals. And as you'd expect, numerous excuses blaming teammates and absolving LeBron James of any responsibility.
But I got to watch some awesome basketball. And it's weird, I rewatched some of that series, and it is so apparent that no matter what you did, no matter what y'all did, we just had an advantage.
Yeah. The whole season, we geared our team up to play Boston. Everything was geared to play Boston. Everything. We never practiced anything besides two bigs, a point guard, a small forward, and a shooting guard.
So stopping it right there, when it came to the 2009 Eastern Conference Finals, going to the series, Cleveland was the heavy favorite, as on the season had the best record in the NBA, only losing 16 games. They had a top 5 offense, top 5 defense, and were first in net rating. This Cavaliers team wasn't some underdog, some Cinderella story. They were a legit team with great pieces. And Reddick already slanted the narrative, saying LeBron James, there's, quote, nothing you could have done, it's not your fault, you're a great player, never to blame. Now, putting that on the back burner, looking at Cleveland's team, for the era they were in, really ahead of their time. As the Cavs on the season, 3rd in made threes, 2nd in percentage, 4th in true shooting percentage, had Mo Williams, who was 2nd in the league in threes made at 44%, Delonte West, 39%, Wally Szczerbiak, 41%, Pavlovich, 41%, and Boobie Gibson at 38%, ranking 4th in made threes for players off the bench. This Cavs team strategy was quite simple. Give LeBron spacing, great defenders, and guys who can control the glass.
We never practiced anything besides two bigs, a point guard, a small forward, and a shooting guard. And then, fuck, you guys win. And it's like, we've geared up all, we had Big Z, Anderson Varejao, myself, Delonte, and Mo Williams. I mean, you guys are out there with Dwight, Rashard, Hedo, Jameer, Pietrus, Courtney Lee. You guys are out there with what the league is to now.
I think too, looking back on that team that I think was so important, because I talk about this all the time now, Jameer Nelson could shoot threes out of pick and roll.
Yeah.
It's an important thing.
It is a very important thing for many reasons.
First of all, it unlocks everyone's offensive game. If you can shoot threes off the dribble, it unlocks your game, right?
Absolutely.
So this right here from Reddick is just peak comedy. As according to him, he watched this series fairly recently. Now, if he'd actually done that, he'd know Jameer Nelson in this series didn't play a single game. So the entire Jameer Dwight pick and roll, him hitting 3-pointers off the dribble, that point is just not valid in this scenario and this series. And LeBron went down the line listing his supporting cast versus Dwight Howard's. And listen to him talk, with Jameer Nelson being out, being injured, an all-star point guard being out. I mean, those overall rosters, pretty damn equal. And someone like Rafer Alston replacing Jameer Nelson, a 32% shooter, in theory, should give Cleveland a massive advantage.
I rewatched Game 5 the other day, and
I've never watched the series, by the way.
You haven't?
No.
I'm very curious to get your thoughts and what you remember about that series specifically, because this is what I remember, and I was like, I'm going to go watch.
What was the series?
4-2.
4-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
4-2. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I didn't talk to the media after Game 6. I was pissed. I took a shower and got shown on the bus.
I remember that now.
Yeah, I was pissed.
Game 5, I was watching the fourth quarter.
So stopping it right there, if JJ Reddick actually watched Game 5 of this series, how did not see Jameer Nelson, the all-star point guard, wasn't playing? Either one, you didn't watch the series, or two, you weren't watching nearly as close as you should have been. And this series, despite Jameer Nelson being hurt, Cleveland being a massive favorite, it was tight in virtually every game. Look at Game 1 and why Cleveland lost. Under 3 minutes, Cleveland was down by 1 point. What happens? LeBron James misses a wide open layup, getting back on defense, flops at midcourt, and then Rashard Lewis hits a 3 because of that flop. Under 2 minutes left, an awful foul on Hedo Turkoglu with Orlando in the bonus, which pushed it from a 1-point game to a 3-point game. Now, LeBron James at the line, late in the game, crunch time free throws, misses the first, makes the second. Again, crucial mistake. And the biggest mistake of all, down by 1 point under 10 seconds left, misreads a double team, goes baseline, gets cut off at the baseline, kicks out to a shooter, who eventually misses. LeBron right there in the final seconds had the game within reach. But crucial mistakes here on offense, there on defense, led to Cleveland losing by 1 point. And looking at Game 4 in overtime, the final 3 minutes, virtually the exact same thing. As the Cavs up by 1 in OT, LeBron at 2:30 had a turnover. The very next play on defense, miscommunication on a screen, screens his own teammate, which led to Petrus getting a wide open 3. At a minute 45, an airball 3-pointer, down by 4 points. The very next possession, in a fast break scenario, turnover, down 4 points. And with 17 seconds left, down by 4, once again went in the lane, got in too deep, and got called for a jump ball. And the worst play of all, down by 2 points under 6 seconds left, had a game-winning 3-pointer that clanked off the rim. LeBron in the final 3 minutes of that game, 7 points, 2 of 6 shooting, with 3 turnovers. And in the fourth quarter OT combined, the Cavaliers had 7 turnovers, which all belonged to LeBron James. That Game 4 for Cleveland was the biggest game of their season, and LeBron in the clutch time big moments of OT once again folded. Now looking at Game 6, the closeout game in Orlando. Once it got past the first quarter, this game was essentially over, as LeBron only had 25 points, 8 of 20 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3, with 3 turnovers. And those pesky teammates, the guys who just don't give him any help, Delonte West, Varejao, and Mo Williams, they combined for a staggering 53 points on 51.6% shooting. In this series versus Orlando, 3 games were decided by 2 or less points, and Cleveland in those games went 1-2. I mean, that right there, that's the series and why Orlando won. And looking at LeBron's overall stats in the final 3 minutes of the series, pretty abysmal. 4.5 points per game, 36% shooting, 1.3 turnovers more than his made field goals, with a plus-minus of negative 1.5. And I was quite curious when it came to Michael Jordan in his last ever East Finals. How good was he in the final 3 minutes of that series? Well, here's your answer. And as you can see, far superior than LeBron. When it comes to the East Finals, the majority of the times, their margins are going to be razor thin. A missed shot here, turnover in a fast break, or even a missed free throw can cost you a game or a series.
I'm not going to gas you up. I'm going to say one thing, though, real quick. You averaged 38, 8, and 8 in that series with that offense and that spacing.
With no space.
With no space.
With no space.
It was wild.
It is wild. To think back on, like I said, I have not watched that series since it happened.
And when it comes to LeBron's overall stats, averaging 38 points per game, yes, that is impressive. When it comes to great players, putting up good stats, that's not all you have to do. First off, you gotta win the series, and second, gotta close the deal in the fourth quarters to win said series. I mean, for example, look at Michael Jordan in 1995 versus Orlando. His overall stats are fantastic, and if a basketball novice didn't know the game, didn't watch that series, you'd say, well, Jordan, of course, you can't blame him. He averaged 30 points per game. He did his job. But if you watch the series, Jordan numerous times cost his team crucial games in the big-time moments. And looking at someone like Magic Johnson in the '84 finals, his overall stats, 18 points, 14 assists, 7 boards on nearly 60% shooting. Looking at those raw stats, you'd be like, damn, Magic had a great series, must have won the MVP. if you actually watch the games, Magic numerous times cost LA games due to missed free throws and crucial turnovers. When it comes to superstar standards, putting up gaudy stats is like the baseline requirement. And if you put up great numbers but don't close the deal, that doesn't absolve you from slander or blame for your team losing.
And to think that I damn near averaged 48-8 in a series with no space is, and I obviously, if I caught a good heater, I could make a couple of threes in a row, whatever the case may be.
But that wasn't
my thing. That wasn't my thing. I lived in the paint, or in the post.
You didn't have your signature move then?
I didn't have my signature move then. No. I was not I was not a disciplined jump shooter at that point in time.
Now that right there is our last clip, and I want to throw this in there for a couple of reasons. As when it comes to LeBron James in 2009, even he acknowledges he was a driver who operated solely in the paint. And his overall jump shot, the three-pointer, the mid-range, even the mid-post short corner shot simply was not there to a prime LeBron James. So when looking at that Orlando series, LeBron's flaws as a jump shooter also made the Cavaliers' spacing much worse than it would have been if he could have shot the three. And for LeBron's career at that point, why he lost to Boston twice, Orlando, heck, even the Mavericks, with his jump shot wasn't up to par with someone like Kobe. As looking at the overall numbers, 5 to 9 feet, 41%, 10 to 14 feet, 24%, 15 to 19 feet, again, 40%. The mid-range as a whole, 36.8%. And when it came to paint scoring non-restricted area, only 41.4%. Compare those overall numbers to someone like Kobe. 5 to 9 feet, 46%. 10 to 14 feet, 45%. 15 to 19 feet, 43%. The mid-range, 42%. And the paint non-restricted area, nearly 50%. When looking at the 09 Finals, 09 East Finals, LeBron's jump shot was one of the big reasons Cleveland lost that series. Was the only reason? Of course not. But LeBron as a player at that point was nearly as complete as he was later in his career. As someone like Kobe, from the 08 to 2010 range, his offensive arsenal, his shooting arsenal, at all three levels was virtually flawless. So that right there is the end of the video, and once again, had to dispel these myths about Cleveland just being a bum squad, not a contender, and an underdog in the East Finals. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.